Blessings and greetings and blessings, blessed souls. We're alive because we're configured to stay alive in this most of existential moments. Intended being configured to Torah Chaim, songs of life, Torah Chesed, songs of kindness, Torah Rachman, songs of mercies. After kind of a bone-crunching day and a bone-crunching week, and it could be the rest of the week is kind of bone-crunching, followed by another week that's going to be bone-crunching, as you notice here that emptied out my bookshelves because we might be very soon have some interesting news to share with people. Consider that with all that being said, and all in the middle of that one's bones feeling like they're getting crunched and munched on by the difficulties of life at times, still the reigning attribute that exists in the creation is mercy. And a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, I don't remember already, days are kind of like melding into each other. You ever have that type of period in your life where every day kind of just like morphs into the other, any distinctive qualities because of the nature of the things that we're going through. So there was a teaching from the Lubavitcher Rebbe that in our days, we, the nation of Israel, don't pronounce the ineffable four-letter name as it is written. However, in the times of the redemption, we will in fact pronounce this name according to the way that it's written, not just for the high priest of Israel, the Kohen Gadol, who would say it once a year inside the holy temple on the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur, but it will be any person who will be privy to say it, even to pronounce it outside of the holy temple. Something to make your favorite drink taste a little bit better. Here's my chocolate coffee from Tzfas, Holy Land of Israel. And with that being said, I haven't mentioned that there is a connection between the fact that in this time we cannot pronounce the ineffable name as it's written. It was basically a decree from the Anshe Knesset Gadol, the last era of the prophets of Israel, who felt that if the name as it is pronounced fell into nefarious hands, they would use and cause great damage. Because not just from Israelite Jewish culture, but any other cultures, many other cultures, that pronouncing something can have a great effect. In the Rastafarian culture, they talk about word sound as power. In Hebrew, we say koach hadibur, the power of speech. So what is it that right now we can't pronounce this ineffable name according to our tradition, as it is written? Rather, we denote that the Almighty, when pronouncing that name, is the source of all rulership, is because despite the fact that this name is connected with mercies, we don't sense it, we don't perceive it. In the time of the redemption, we shall perceive that everything that emanates out of this pristine, ineffable four-letter name, sometimes known as the Shema Etzem, the essential name, Shem Yuchad, the unique name, Shem Forash, the explicit name, they'll be so abundantly clear. So therefore, we will be given permission to pronounce the name as it is written. In last week's Torah portion, Vayera, after the previous ending of the parsha before that, Parsha Shmos, Moshe, the mighty Moses, the mighty Levite prophet, questioned the prayer, saying, "Why have you done this evil to the people? You sent me to redeem the nation of Israel from Egypt, and they took away the straw and the other means by which they could be more productive in making the bricks as they were building the city, I think with Ramses. Why have you done this to me?" Parshas Vayera, the Almighty said, you're questioning me, and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, Yisrael, they didn't question my methods, my attributes, and I tested them severely. But I shall show you the attribute that is connected to my name, which therefore shall make my name very well publicized and well known. And to this day, there are great lovers of this name, and some, in fact, do pronounce it from the nations of the world, the B'nai Noach, although we of Israel aren't going to pronounce it yet. And the interesting thing, the ironic thing is I've learned in my classes is that if the nations want to pronounce his name, they have permission, where we of Israel don't have permission. But are the nations, or even the Jews for that matter, are we aware of the fact that we should be associating this ineffable four-letter name with mercy? But then again, too, as we go through our life experiences, are we aware of the fact that it's merely a test? And this test is to see if we will raise up a banner of testimony to the Creator, that the reason why we were tested was to reveal our soul essence in the process of being tested. In fact, there's a verse in Psalms chapter 60, in the 6th verse, which says that you gave to those who fear you a banner to raise up because of truth, which is forever. The 6th Lubavitch Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzhak Schneerson of Lubavitch, who eventually settled in America, mentioned that for those who fear the Creator, they will be tested in order to give testimony to the truth of the attribute of Abraham. In the second paragraph of the second sif of this mimer, what was the attribute of Abraham that was so outstanding that where we have this verse in chapter 60, verse 6, the attribute of truth is associated with Abraham. Why there was no attribute, or there wasn't a sufficient attribute of truth with Isaac or Yitzhak or Yaakov Yisrael, Jacob Israel? And in fact, the Avos, the patriarchs of Israel, are called with the title of Avos, patriarchs, and no other individuals who came from them, even down through the generations, are called patriarchs except these three. But Abraham is considered to be the head of the patriarchal system of Israel. And what was his specialty? What was his essence that opened up an empowerment for the nation of Israel and for those who want to learn a lesson from the nations of the world, from Bnei Noach? Lubavitch Rebbe responds is that based on not only his insight, but from his ancestors, the other Chabad Rebbes, the Lubavitch Rebbes, most notably the Mittler Rebbe, Derech Chaim, The Way of Life, and in his work Imre Bina, The Words of Understanding, Tavresh Ein Ches from the 5th Chabad Rebbe, the father of the Rebbe Rayatz, Rebbe Shalom Davber, and also by the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rebbe Yosef Yitzhak Schneerson of Lubavitch, that Avraham empowered the nation of Israel, and therefore all human beings to emulate, by making accessible this human experience of self-sacrifice. And for those who are not commanded to self-sacrifice themselves in the name of the Most High, I like to use the term dedication. So Abraham opened up a channelway, a pipeline, to empower us this very day to see the vantage point of total dedication, total sacrifice for the ideals that we hold pristine. And for those of us in the Hasidic movement, one of the ideas that we hold pristine, as I raise my cup again to say l'chaim to you all, is where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, taught in the merit of this book, the nation of Israel shall go out in mercies, meaning inner dimensions of Torah are designed to reveal mercies. But here we're talking about the element of self-sacrifice, and later on in this teaching, that although Abraham is identified as a lover of the Creator, based on a prophetic teaching from Isaiah, which you can learn more about by going to chapter 41, verse 8, his self-sacrifice was emblematic of a sort of completeness level of fear and self-abnegation, which we call bitul, self-nullification. Not that he nullified himself out of existence, although Abraham at one point called himself Afer Efer, dust and ashes. When Abraham was asked by the Almighty to bring up Isaac, to be brought up as an Ola, as a sacrifice to the Creator, he did it with alacrity. And therefore the angel of the Almighty told him, now I know that you are a fearer of God. But wouldn't it have been sufficient to just be a lover of God? Why the fear? Because in relationships, blessed souls, we should fear to break a relationship. And if someone asks us to do something, how much more so when is the Creator, and it's a prophetic teaching, is asking us to do something which is so the opposite of our teeny tiny microcosmic human intellect. Where is the mercy? But actually in that instruction, in that commandment, in that request is the mercy, because we have been judged to be privy to accept upon ourselves a certain responsibility and to carry that hopefully with simcha, in joy, tuv levav, and a good heart. And not only that, when we start to realize that the merciful act of being tested, although we should know King David asked to be tested and he was later saw that it was not to his benefit. It's not that we should be actually asked to be tested. We shouldn't be so brazen as that. And King David was in the full potency of his youth to request such a test, and yet he failed it. So therefore, none of us probably should be asked to be tested when someone as great as King David, whose psalms are so universal, whether people accept him or don't accept him. Point is that he asked to be tested and he failed the test. Learn more about that by going to the Tanakh in Samuel, book of Samuel. When we are tested, we are given the pristine opportunity to access our soul essence, to be focused on, as much as this may be a test, it's really an opportunity to reveal the essence of our soul. And when we can reveal the essence of our soul by being tested, we can actually reveal the miracle within the miracle that within our soul, which is our soul essence. By Jews, we call it Yechida, Pintel Yid. So I just want to leave you with that, blessed souls, and that while the beginning of Abraham or Abraham's service was just to make known godliness in the world, eventually he had to go through those tests, which might have seemed very severe, but actually it was an act of mercy to empower us to this day to decide if we're being tested just to make us feel like we're getting our bones crunched physically, spiritually, emotionally, or is it to bring out our souls? Just as when you crush an olive, you get this pristine oil. When you crush a grape, you get this luscious juice or luscious wine if you want to drink the alcoholic form of a crushed grape. If you boil an egg, if you want to have that, access that type of food by putting it in boiling water. So let us realize and hopefully internalize and never feel discouraged and never feel disappointed. We've been anointed with that Tzelem Elokim, which is no dream, our divine image, which helps us get in scrimmage to hopefully actualize all our potentialities as part of 7.7 billion human beings gleaming and streaming all over creation as faithful stewards of this wonderful, blessed planet. We'll end off in a manner of Ahava Chad, one love, Gorla Chad, one destiny, Kulano, all us, but Darchinom, Darki Shalom. And I remind everyone, as I'm prone to do, although with not so many books behind me, I've got to be good, you've got to be, we've all got to be good, because the Tevatov, the Hativ, it's nature to do good, waits ever so patiently, mercifully, because mercy is a way of life. If we want to seek Creator's mercies, if we have to extend our mercies to others a little bit more, inch by inch, molecule by molecule, have a good night. And maybe you're listening by day or watching this archive version by day. Have a good day. Have a good afternoon as well. Take care.